Welcome back to This Morning. Now then, last night, the nation saw my great friend, Kate Garraway's incredible documentary, Derek's Story, about the final few months of Derek's life before he sadly passed away in January.
We saw an insight into Derek's progress, his wonderful sense of humour, and also the realities of just how much it costs to care for a loved one. Before we chat to Kate... Hello. Let's take a look.
How old are you, Kate?
I am 56, which means I'm closer to 60 than 50, which I'm glad about. And it also is the small period of the year where Derek is my toy boy until we get to August. It's true, isn't it? Right, Bill, do you want to come and stand next to Dad? You going to open one for me?
Yes.
OK. Bill, do you want to get this one lined up?
Happy birthday. We had a great day, good chance to relax and celebrate in some way.
Oh, that's nice.
So, okay, and Jude.
That's my cousin. If you're the person that's been arguing for change and a better system, and then find yourself a victim of the system that didn't change, it must be very hard mentally, I think.
Love you.
Do you?
Yeah, but do. Of course I do. Of course I do. Of course I do. Of course I do.
Oh, Kate joins us now this morning.
Good morning.
So lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you.
We'll get on to the brilliant Ben Cat in a minute. We'll get on to the happy stuff.
I'm slightly nervous about getting there, so we'll stay with this.
I want you to tell me everything.
OK.
Kate, we've lived this for the last 4 years together.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been a part of those documentaries, but this last documentary, by virtue of the fact it was the third one, and tragically, of course, we lost Derek just a couple of months ago, was there ever a point, and you must have been filming it for months and months, where you considered not putting it out?
Yes, there was, you know, being honest. So after he passed away, so 10th of December, as you know, we may talk about that as well, he had a cardiac arrest, which led to massive bleeding and hemorrhaging, and ultimately, on the 3rd of January, took his life. And after he passed away, obviously you're just consumed with that grief and things like the funeral and the children, his mum and dad and all those things. Lucy Wilcox, brilliant producer, rang very upset because, of course, she'd become very close to Derek and said, you know, we do have this thing ready to go virtually. What do we do now? And my initial reaction was, oh, gosh, it can't air now. It's too painful. But then I thought, having talked to his family, that actually that was selfish of me, because I was thinking about my feelings about it and the reaction I might get and whether it was appropriate. But actually, it was Derek who chose to make this documentary. And it was not really ever about me or Derek, although I know, you know, we're the faces on there. But it was about the system that lets caring people down, carers of all sorts down, and actually lets down the people that work within the system as well. I've had so much response from social workers, from health workers, from, you know, people who are often seen as the people making decisions that are unhelpful, saying, we are so frustrated, that I thought, well, you're doing it for that. Derek wanted to do it for that. Actually, plough on.
Well, yes, because that was one of the things I took away from the documentary. As fresh eyes was that he wanted to be heard.
Yeah.
He very much wanted to be heard. So you were kind of put in this almost tricky place where you knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
But you are trying to work it out as a family and you're going through grief at the same time. How was it when you watched it back?
I couldn't really speak for about an hour afterwards, actually, and that was the sort of humour reaction of...
That's quite unusual as well, Kat. I'll just point that out.
Everybody breathed a huge sigh of relief and took a moment to take a holiday. No, I couldn't really speak. I was overwhelmed. It was raw. Things that jumped out at me was just the unbelievably of frustration of seeing how well he was doing, how much progress he'd made. For him to have struggled so hard and fought so long, that's just a personal sadness for me. But I was always very keen that it didn't then look like a waste, because I thought about all the hundreds, actually, of specialists, doctors, nurses and carers that had given so much of their own time to try and make things better for Derek, and they do it for everybody. You know, it's just that my experiences with Derek. I wouldn't like them to think that that effort was a waste, because those 4 years had purpose, were precious, and we can't be in a society where, unless you're fully functioning, contributing in a way that we'd all like, you know, working, paying taxes, all that, where it's pointless, and it's not pointless.
No.
You know, life is life.
He had come such a long way as well, those 4 years. If you think about what you were all able to celebrate in those 4 years, thanks to those specialists who did everything they could to sort of give him the best standard of living, not least you getting your MBE and him being there that day.
Yeah, amazing.
Never thought it was possible, even actually 2 days before he was in hospital, but he was there, determined to be there, and how wonderful that he could be, you know, and that's a gift that we have.
There's something special as well, Kate, in the documentary, that people got a real sense of the connection between the two of you and how much love there was. I think you're really honest about the shift in how he could display his affection for you and also your role within that relationship. And that's something that resonates with a lot of the people that have been getting in touch with us with regards to caring for their partner.
Yeah, I think whether it's a partner, a parent, a child, a brother, a sibling, you know, big physical and, in Derek's case, brain changes the dynamic. And I certainly was very conscious for him. He felt disempowered in so many ways, physically, communication-wise, everything. He desperately wanted to, he would say often, I'm sorry I've let you down as a dad to the children, which, you know, broke their hearts. And they would say, no, you're our hero. And he didn't let them down, of course he didn't, but he felt like he did. And I'm sort of very aware that the things you do that you don't even notice in a relationship, like the little things you do when you know somebody so well, he physically could no longer do. So he didn't, you know, I wondered if he knew how to be, and we were in the process of working that out over the 4 years, and I feel we had got there. I feel we got to somewhere. And unfortunately, you know, the path ended.
Their wedding was one of the most unique experiences of my life.
Why?
It was an extraordinary occasion.
Yeah.
Really incredibly loving and energetic and fun. And
great speeches, I'm imagining. Great
trust
speeches.
me, the speeches were the highlights. Certainly for me, Kate, and me.
Derek's was much better than others.
Yeah. But if ever you wanted to get a sense of what it was about Kate that Derek found so special, I thought there was an amazing moment in the documentary. We're just going to play this little clip,
this is brilliant,
which just sums him up and your relationship up so perfectly.
OK.
When did you meet Kate?
Met in Claridge's bar. It was a blind date.
Can you remember what you first thought of her?
Yes.
What did you first think of her?
Thought she was fit.
What else did you think about Kate?
Caring. Lovely.
Did you know you wanted to marry her?
Yes.
And then I love how the interviewer asks you the question and she says, did I talk too much? Is that
Derek, can we ask Derek what you thought when he first met her? I was like, oh, God. What's coming now? Yeah, talks too much, I went for. But, yeah, that was pure Derek. There was a real bit of Chorley fit.
Proper joy.
I love it.
No.
Not classy, obviously, but fit.
But that's why...
But that was so great!
That's why it's so good, because it's his very essence that's
was
there.
absolutely there.
Yeah.
Absolutely there all the way through.
But it must have been so exhausting. We've talked about how the relationship changed, and I know there was a point where you cared for Derek solo for 10 days,
Yeah,
24
there were
hours.
chunks of time, and I honestly felt like I was going slightly crazy. You're so sleep-deprived.
Yes.
You're so stressed. There's so much responsibility. And, of course, you're also thinking about the children and what kind of mother you're being in that period. And, yeah, I don't know how you can do that for very long. And one of the messages I got yesterday is that the person that she'd cared for, her husband, sadly passed away, and she said she realised She did it for 2 years, sadly didn't have longer. But found that afterwards she just felt she was so angry because I'm frustrated, and felt like I did, which is there's so much time spent arguing for things and ranting about things and making appeals which take so long when you're asking for time for doctors to represent their evidence, and of course they're busy and they've moved on, and then you come down to it and you think, I can't convey this, and if you can't see this, and then of course you feel very guilty for asking for it. But when it's life and death, when you know if you don't ask for it, you have to, and you don't like the person you've become because you feel like you're rowing with good people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I totally do. And
sorry, that sounds very confused, but you just think, I don't want to be this person. I want to be this person who says, thank you so much. But you're doing it on behalf of the carers who go, we need you to speak for us.
And actually, that was one of the things for me for the documentary. You were so honest about that. You were kind of drowning beneath this paperwork and trying to juggle everything at the same time.
Not just the paperwork, though. Now, obviously, I was aware of this as we were going along.
And you were helpful.
But it's the debt as well, Kate. You have been sunk into hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of debt in a desperate attempt to offer the care you could for Derek. And you are in a privileged position compared to all of those carers. There were some amazing carers in the documentary.
Absolutely.
And I wonder how you balance those two things up now. You know, the fight to get all that care for Derek. Sadly, Derek's now gone, but you are left with this legacy of debt, which you are still going to have to pay.
Yeah, and I will pay it. I will pay it, absolutely. And I don't regret it. I don't begrudge it. And, you know, it was the right thing to do. Of course. It was the right thing to do.
You have no choice.
No, you have no choice, you know, and... but I think that, you know, it is... You know, people... I was lucky because I had a job where people understood and gave me time to rush off to hospital a moment's notice or be around or go to the appointments or be there to care. You know, there were times... There was one time when they cancelled the care, which turned out to be a mistake, one evening, just before I came onto GMB. You were on the next day with me, and I had to ring poor Neil Thompson, the editor, and say, I can't come in because I don't think anyone's going to turn up. And all they said at the time was, we'll call an ambulance and take him to hospital and leave him there. I mean, GMB didn't say that, let me be very clear. They said, do what you need. But that was the unofficial, official advice. They said, this is all we can tell you to do. Now, in the end, the carer did turn up, even though they didn't know they were going to get paid.
Oh, wow.
Because they came, because they turned up. And that's the people that you're dealing with. You know, they're travelling a long way, they don't always live near you. They came. And for those that are professional carers that are doing it on their own, you know, it's a massive thing. And I don't even think it's political, really. I think it's all of us. We just got to realise that we have to make this a priority. Because
as a society.
As a society, we have to, because we're all going to get sick, we're all going to be vulnerable, we're all going to need it, or be the person doing the caring, probably both in a lifetime. And so we have to find a way of making it important enough to us, apart from when you're in it.
Yes.
And then it's all you think about, you know.
An amazing thing happened last night watching the documentary, because I was following on social media and the reaction from people suddenly understanding your motivation and Derek's motivation for wanting to make this documentary. There had been quite a lot of criticism, though, that people angled towards you in terms of sharing this story and how you've shared the story. I wonder how you've processed that, Kate.
Well, I think people are probably a bit bored of me, frankly. I think they're a bit bored of me banging on about the same thing, it seems to them. And I understand that, really, and I don't think I would have made a third one because, you know, if it hadn't been that Derek wanted to. But I'm glad I did, because what I've now realised is that people say, oh, just because you're on the telly you're talking about this. Yeah, actually, because those other people can't.
Yes.
They don't have a place to talk about it. Yeah, and they're saying to me, please don't give up, because I can't tell anyone other than myself in the mirror or my long-suffering friends who also can't do anything. So I sort of have to, and I'm sorry about that. And I hope that if people do watch it, I know you can watch it on ITVX, then maybe they will see that it's coming from a different place. It probably just looks like, oh, for goodness sake, Kate, stop going on about your own problems. There's enough problems in the world. I'm really not meaning to talk about my problems. I'm trying to go on about everybody else's problems.
From my experience of working with you, this is the one problem I'm very happy with you to go on about.
Oh, really?
As often as possible.
The hair,
however.
a bit annoying. But this you're happy about.
But this is some of the reaction we've had. Michelle, I'm a carer. We are welcomed into families that we look after. We get so attached to them and love them. My heart went out to Kate and to the children, and of course to Jake, your amazing
Jake
carer.
is grieving himself.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And what an exceptional young man he is, by the way.
Hugely extraordinary, life-saving. Carers are life-saving.
They are.
He's one of them.
Fiona, such a beautiful and powerful watch. You can clearly see the love and bond. I'm a care assistant, have been for 30 years. I love my job. As much as it's underpaid, challenging and hard work, I wouldn't do anything else. And this is Kate and Derek. How wonderful. So well done for giving Derek, the patients, the carers, paid and unpaid, a voice. We've been shouting for years. Let's hope the government, councils, MPs are listening. That's from Michelle. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I hope so. I hope we all, I hope we all do something because we are all going to want change, aren't we? There's a lot of pressure on money at the moment. Everybody's counting the pennies. But when you're at that moment on your own in the middle of the night, either the person who needs care or the person that's praying a care will arrive, you suddenly sort of don't worry about anything else, you know?
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And brave and brilliant.
It's brilliant
Thank
watching you two.
Oh, well, thank you.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, we're loving it, aren't we?
We are.
We are. I say the real we.
He said to me, I've so traded up. And I said, yeah, you so have.
I thought you were going to say, I've trained her up. I've trained her up.
Oh, no, we're getting there with that. Don't worry. I've traded up. Now the training begins.
Thank you, Kate.
We'll have to get you back at some point. You can fill her in on all our deepest, darkest secrets.
can't wait.
The ones that we can't talk about now.
Preferably over wine.
Well done, Kate.
All
Very
right,
proud
take
of
care.
you and the family. Love to Bill and Darcy as well.
Of course.
OK.